Southern Germany has been hit by relating after a violent hailstorm battered Bavaria, shattered with windows, damaged rooftops, and living residents standing by the scale of destruction. The storm swept across the region with little warning, unleashing hailstones the large of tennis balls. Streets in Munich, Augsburg, and surrounding towns were carpeted in ice, with the cars were left dented with white shifts smashed. It was like gunfire from the sky, said Klaus Richter, a resident of Augsburg. A hospital treated dozens of people to their cars, burst, and hit injuries. Children and elderly were most affected, with the emergency responded rushing to provide shelter in a school and sports halls in the rural area. The storm was equally devastating. Groups of Borsay, maize, and a vineyard across Bavaria were pumped, with the farmers reported losses that could total tens of millions of euros. Transport ground to the hail, trains were delayed, the stock were blocked, fallen branches of the debris were fighter from Munich airport were disrupted due to damaged aircraft and poor visibility. Highway torn hazards with the multiple accidents caused the slippery and ice-covered roads. Tourists were also cut off in the chaos. Visitors to Neuschwanstein Castle and Bavaria, farmers Alpine village showed a dramatic image for the hail building up for the snowdrifts, with local accompanying the summer storm to the winter blizzard. Meteorologists explained that the hailstorm was triggered by unstable air masses colliding the southern Germany, intensified by record summer heat. Climate experts warn that extreme hail events are becoming more frequent across the Europe, pressing homes, agriculture, and infrastructure under increasing threat. The storm also suffered the European transport network. Rail service hit in Germany and France suffered severe disruption, while airports in Milan, Brussels, and Prague experienced significant delay. Trucks were banned from the driving in some areas of Italy due to dangerous crosswinds. Meteorologists warn that climate change may be felt to intensify of this storm. We are seeing more frequent and violent weather events across Europe, said Dr. Hans Keller, a climate scientist in Berlin. European leaders pledged to carry off rapid relief force. France deployed military engineers to clear blocked roads, while Germany announced emergency funds to support reconstruction efforts. EU officials stressed to need a continental cooperation to deal with the climate-related disaster. For millions of people across Europe, this storm was not just a night to extreme weather, but another stark reminder of the continent's growing vulnerability to the fury of nature. The Spanish region of Valencia has been hit by a severe storm that has brought torrential rain, violent winds and severe flooding, leaving streets submerged and continues gradually to recover. Meteorologists say a system filled the Mosul by Mediterranean dumped more than 200 mm of rain in just 24 hours, one of the most intense downpour in decades. Entire neighborhoods in the city of Valencia were left underwater, and the residents were forced to wade through waist-deep water. Emergency service carried out hundreds of rescue, including drivers trapped in submerged cars and families evacuated from ground-floor apartments. At least 4 fatalities have been confirmed, while dozens of people have been injured by falling debris and traffic incidents. The part of Valencia, one of the barriers in Europe, was temporarily closed after crane that knocked down by strong winds disrupted shipments across the Mediterranean. Public transport was brought in a standstill, subway lines were suspended, flights were diverted, and rail services were cancelled throughout the region. Central Europe was not less affected. In Switzerland and Austria, transport was paralyzed. Trains were stopped due to landslides and flights were cancelled in Zurich and Vienna. In Poland, emergency services received hundreds of calls and trees blocked major highways and power lines fell. Meteorologists explained the storm straight the collision to the warm Mediterranean air with a cold Arctic front, which according to one expert created perfect conditions to the storm. Climatologist Marcus Keller warned, such extreme weather not longer a rarity. They are becoming a new norm. At least 20 people have been reported dead and hundreds injured across Europe. Tens of thousands of people remain without electricity. European leaders have promised to provide aid and fund to recovery, but it could take weeks to rebuild. For many, this night of destruction will be forever etched to their memories. As one of the Munich residents said, Europe has seen storms before, but never have so much countries have been hit so hard at the same time. In Germany, the state of Bavaria and North Rhine-Westphalia were hit hard. Rail services were suspended in several regions after fallen trees damaged overhead lines, with the schools remaining closed in precipitation. Dutch Brown warning passengers in significant delays in cancellation. Meteorologists attribute the extreme weather and deep Atlantic low pressure system golden with the unstably warm continental air, and volatile mix and intensified the storm power. Dr. Elena Richer from the European Climate Observatory stated, "We are witnessing more frequent and violent weather patterns to shift atmospheric circulated linking to climate change." The storm also caused coastal surge in Netherlands and Belgium. The authority reinforced and flood buried out along the vulnerable zone. In Amsterdam, channels overflowing, forcing evacuation in low-lying districts. Airports across Europe, including Frankfurt, Paris channels, and Madrid-Brescia, reported flight cancellation and diversions, extended thousands of traveling overnight. Europe is rooted after the wave of powerful storms swept across the continent, bringing hurricane-force wind, torrential rain, hail and flooding from Spain to Poland. Authorities have confirmed dozens of fatalities and hundreds of injured, with hundreds of thousands of households remain without electricity. In France, Paris, and hampered by heavy rain, is lighting forced to close the metro lines and grounded flights to Charlotte the airport. Streets and flying and borders turned into rivers. An emergency crew reported more than 5,000 kilometers fallouts overnight. Germany also brought to breath with a tornado-like wind North Rhine-Westphalia, ripping roofs to homes and uprooted trees. Rail service were suspended, highways blocked, and the school closed to official urged residents to stay indoors. It felt like the sky exploded, said Jens Fischer, with so-called lifted to overturned by sudden gusts. In Italy, Venice and Milan were swept by the flash floods, while the Rome enduring the violent hailstorm that shattered windows and damaged cars. Authorities warned to rising river levels in the north, in the fear of further flooding in the Po Valley. Spain forcing massive coastal swells and lightning storms, particularly in Barcelona and Valencia, where the Poland and Czech Republic struggled with the power cuts and transportation shutdowns after gale force winds across Central Europe. Airports across the continent suffered several days while thousands of travelers were stranded with the train station. Insurance provider estimates the damage could reach billions of euros after gale force winds across the Central Europe. Airports across the continent suffered several days with thousands of Mediterranean said the storm system was following the coastal line by Mediterranean air called Atlantic Front, creating a volatile chain reaction across the Europe. Scientists warn the climate change is making such extreme wide-reaching weather events increasingly frequent.
It's like a snowstorm. Our vehicles are gonna rain for hail now.
The Spanish Meteorological Service has declared a red alert for the eastern parts of the Valencia region due to heavy rain. Thursday, a repeat of the flooding that killed 235 people in the area last October. Spanish National Meteorological Service warned of extreme danger and a very difficult situation in Tarragona, Castellón and Valencia on a Sunday and Monday. On this warning was echoed Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Citing of meteorological warning, Sanchez urged citizens to follow the instruction of the emergency service to all times. Local official announced that school and college libraries and parks, as well as public space including gardens, markets and cemeteries, would be closed in the Valencia on a Monday. Overnight rains caused local flooding and overflowing of Arroyo Aldea, one of the town hardest hit by October 2024 flooded that killed more than 213 people. No casualties have been reported. On a Sunday afternoon, residents of the city received a red weather alert on this phone. The flooding caused by heavy rains in October last year were exacerbated by the effect of climate change. As a warming atmosphere holds more water, climate change increasing the risk and intensity of the flood from extreme rainfall. Local residents struggled to a series of protests against for the believed this mismanagement of last year's crisis calamity. The regional offices did not warn in the time, despite the fact that meteorological service had issued warning. Farmers estimated the dramatic it's $1 million especially in vineyards that produced world-famous wines. It's devastating, said Jean-Paul Lefroy, a winemaker near Lyon. In just 10 minutes, the works in the entire season was destroyed. Further east in Croatia and Slovenia, hailstones the size of eggs smashed windows and stripped streets bare. Emergency service worked through the night and cleared debris to restore power to affected areas. Local authority described the damage as serious and extensive. Meteorologists across Europe are linking the surge in severe hailstorm to rising temperature and atmospheric instability. The Mediterranean is warming faster than the global average, warning climatologist Dr. Yelena Moretti. This creates ideal conditions to explosive storm to formation of giant hailstorm. The European Severe Laboratory reported that more than 400 hail-related incidents were recorded in 34 hours of extremely high number of October. Experts warned that such events, once considered rare, are now becoming more common due to the effects of climate change. Cleanup efforts are underway across the continent, and insurance companies are assessing the extent of the damage. From broken skylights in Rome and flooded streets in Munich and storage fury that what yet another stark reminder that Europe weather is becoming more unpredictable and dangerous than ever before. Ile-de-France region, bringing hurricane force winds, torrential rain, and intense lighting that lit up the Parisian skyline. When our iconic boulevards were transformed into rivers, metro stations were flooded, and thousands were left without electricity. According to Meteo France, when the gusts exceeded 120 km/h in parts of the capital, with more than 16 mm of rain fell in just 3 hours, an amount normally seen over several weeks. The Seine River rose rapidly and water poured in unprecedented to underground car park near the city center. "I feel like the sky exploded," said Marie Larrier, a resident of a Montreal district. "It was a thunder every few seconds, windows shaking and water gushing through the streets like a waterfall." Emergency service received over 1,200 calls during the night, rescuing drivers trapped in submerged tunnels and responded to multiple reports of fallen trees. In the 15th arrondissement, the large earth collapsing out parked vehicles were parts of the Champs-Élysées were perilously closed due to debris. Europe, a powerful storm system has swept across large parts of the Europe, bringing torrential rain, hurricane-force winds and widespread disruption from Spain to Germany. Named Storm Isadora by meteorologists, the violent weather left a trail of chaos, flooding streets, uprooted trees and cutting power of hundreds and thousands of homes. In France, wind exceeded 113 km/h, battered the Atlantic coast, triggered roofs, the rebuilding and forced to temporarily close it to Eiffel Tower due to safety risks. In Paris, emergency service reported over 500 calls overnight as fallen trees blocked major roads and debris littered the city. "It felt like the city is breathing in chaos," said local resident Lukas Weber. The wind was howling like a violent rain. Further south Spain, in Dauphin, relentless downpour that triggered flash flooding in parts of Valencia and Barcelona. Submerged cars and flooded metro station. Emergency crew carried out multiple water rescuing in resources as rainfall reached record-breaking levels, over 120 mm in 24 hours, according to the Spanish Meteorological Agency.
Mira, José, esto...
Communities across Europe are in shock after a series of rare and powerful tornadoes swept through the parts of Germany, France and Czech Republic, leaving widespread destruction in their wake. Authorities have confirmed numerous casualties and more than 200 injured, with the homes destroyed, cars overturned and power lines downed. Western Germany was the hardest hit with a powerful wind which swept throughout the residential era, poured down, injured dozens of people and damaged hundreds of buildings. Roofs were turned off, trees were uprooted, and debris was scattered across highways. It was like a freight train rushing throughout the city, said Catherine Miller, who took shelter in a basement with their family. In northern France, a tornado struck near Calais, overturned trucks on the A18 motorway, and forcing several paths to close. Residents are decided chaos and hail, lightning, and stones wind battered cities already drenched in the heavy rain. The Czech Republic still resilient from the devastating tornado in 2021, reported another severe storm in southern Bavaria, where homes and farms again destroyed it. Emergency service rushed to help stranded residents and volunteers working through the night to clear debris from narrow rural streets. Meteorologists say the tornadoes formed after the mist of hot Mediterranean air collided with a cold front moving from the Arctic, creating unstoppable conditions ideal to supercell storms. Experts warn that the climate change could make Europe more vulnerable to such rare but devastating events. Tornadoes were once considered almost impossible here, explained climatologist Dr. Helena Novak. Now they are becoming a dangerous new reality. The infrastructure of the three countries suffered serious damage. Rail service was suspended, tens of thousands of people were left without power due to power outage, and schools were closed to several regions. Insurance companies estimate the damage in the hundreds of millions of euros. Despite the devastation, there are stories of resilience. Neighbors formed human change of cleared debris, firefighters rescued trapped families, and the shelters opened their doors to lose their homes. As Europe begins the long process of recovery, the tornado several stuck reminded that extreme weather is no longer confined to remote regions. It now processes to grow through to here to the continent.